This is my Module 4 for School and Community, and this is about understanding the community of Iola, Kansas. Customs and traditions for Iola. The Allen County Fair and Rodeo happen annually at the end of July. It's a pretty big deal for our community as there's not a lot that happens, so it brings in a bunch of people to look at the 4-H and FFA exhibits, as well as neighboring communities come to watch the rodeo on a Friday and Saturday evening. Just for a personal example, I'm not from Iola, but I have used to show in Iola, and I have been going to the Allen County Fair since I was 7, and that's kind of a little tradition of my own. Farm City Days is a big deal for Iola. It happens annually in October. There's a big parade, a carnival comes down, there's exhibitors, the school gets involved. The homecoming winners it's a big deal for them to ride in the parade, as well as like the band and the cheerleaders or any clubs that aren't busy on Farm City Days usually end up in that parade. Iola is extremely proud of the Bullis Fine Arts Center, where they bring famous musicians and magicians and dance recitals are held, etc. It's all about the performing arts. Our school sometimes has speakers, and then we go to the Bullis Fine Arts Center to view it. Just recently, 2 years ago, we took some classes away from the Bullis Fine Arts. Our high school students used to walk 3 blocks and have classes in the Bullis Center, but like I said, only 2 or 3 years ago, they removed that from there. The farmers market is a pretty big deal in our community. Every Thursday, they shut down the town square, like part of the town square, block it off, and they have their booths for the farmers market. We are known for having the largest town square. That is a fun fact about Iola. And we have the oldest operating high school in Kansas, or the oldest building where students still attend every day. And that will play a very important factor later on in this presentation. Population characteristics. The school in itself, the middle school, 3 elementaries, and the high school are located in Iola. But on our district website, it says that communities make up the towns of Iola, Gass, and La Harpe. In Iola, there's about 5,400 population. According to Data USA, on the town of Iola, we are 88% white, 3.4% Hispanic. Our median age is around 36 and a half. Our median household income is around $31,000. That honestly, I thought was higher than I expected, just from our demographics in school. And we are an industrial trade-oriented job. Like, those are our jobs in our town, the biggest ones. And we have 13% higher poverty rate than the average town in Kansas. And our highest people in poverty, according to the Data USA, are females between the age of 25 and 34, followed by younger males 18 to 24. Communication channels. Social media is a big one, and whether that be through Facebook, Twitter, or our school website. I wish our school website was a little better or more user-friendly. Our technology is based out of a company in Kansas City, so we have a lot of technology issues, and our websites are not the most up-to-date. The name of the company is Albert, so Albert is a bad word around our school, because we are looking forward to getting out of that contract. I think we're on year 4 out of a 5-year contract. Newspaper, we have our own local newspaper. They're very supportive. They feature everything about our high school. I email them frequently between FFA or volleyball updates or club updates, and they are Johnny on the spot on getting those articles in. I've been contacted several times if they could interview students. They come up with things that they would like to feature. We also have a local radio station in our town called KAKS. They broadcast basketball games, football games, as well as you can tune into them anytime to listen to country music. And then another communication form we use is text message or Schoolway, I think it's called, where we send out whether it's a school, like a snow day, or reminder about parent-teacher conferences or anything like that. The most effective, I would probably say, is the social media or newspaper, depending on what you're after. The text messages are only used in like dire needs. But another thing I forgot to mention is our newspaper does provide free newspapers to our students at the high school, so they can grab that and look at their, features or anything like that. Community groups. I feel like we have a fair amount of community groups. Thrive, which I'll touch more on a little later, and what they do. We are a big church town. We have over 10 churches, all denominations, and a large percentage of our kids are in youth group. So we try and stay away from anything on Wednesday nights because that's youth group night, and they're very involved. We have adult groups through the mental health center. We have a booster club. They're not as active as probably other towns' booster clubs, but they do provide some financial help for sports clubs, sports. Farm Bureau is extremely active. I deal with them a lot personally. They're always willing to help, want to know what's next. They help with anything that I need through the agriculture education world. And I know that they host their annual banquet at the high school, so they have a good relationship with the school. We have very few supportive parents, but the ones that we do have are amazing. Elks does a good job in our community. They focus on kids growing up healthy or learning healthy lifestyles, and they have a big fishing derby. Modern Woodman is a part of Viola community. They're a financial group that loves to assist financially and in education and helping the youth. And then we have a community group called Hope House, and Hope House is a battered women's shelter where you can go make donations, and gives women a safe place to stay, and their address and identity in the house remains anonymous. Leadership. So kind of back to Thrive. Thrive strives on being a rural, healthy advocate of towns. There is a lot of positive and negative opinions about Thrive. I think they have good intentions. Sometimes they just overstep. The Rotary. We have Rotary. Particular individuals are of high leadership. There are a couple individual names around town that are prestige. School board members. They are considered in a high leadership position. People go to them. They're not afraid to reach out to them. Many of them come around the school or at activities. They're very involved. And our local chamber of commerce. Economic conditions. So, we are a town that is very industrial oriented, or blue collar jobs. So we have Gates Rubber Company is a big employer, as well as Russell Stover's. Those are probably our big two employers, followed by our education systems, whether that be Allen County Community College, our local JUCO, our trades tech centers, or USD 257. The thing about USD 257 is we are the lowest paying district around in any county surrounding us and beyond. And it doesn't matter the size of class. We are 4A, but there's a 1A 10 miles down the road that has a much better salary schedule than we do. We have 3 farm implement dealers, which is unique for a rural, not unique for a rural community, but a mid, it's not large, it's not small, it's like that middle ground size. The farm implement dealerships are John Deere, Case, and Kubota. We have a dairy farm. which they seem to be dying out in the eastern part of the state, but our dairy farm is still holding true. They're very well known around the United States. And Iowa Industries, they do a good job. They're a strong advocate for bringing businesses in, and they helped a lot of these businesses get started. Their newest one is Peerless, we just brought in. I believe it's a branch off Fort Scott, but that's another industry coming to Iowa that is good for us. Political structure, we have our city council, Sheriff Murphy. He's very well known. You'll see him around. The school has big political structure influence, as well as our city commissioners. Social tensions. Our biggest social tension is definitely the political differences. We are a Republican voting county, about 70%, but we have very vocal Democratic influences or organizations that create some of those social tensions within our community. And again, we have very abundant blue-collar jobs, but that don't support the middle-class lifestyle. Our community is, we have a lot of poverty, and we have some very affluent, but we are missing that gap of middle-class comfort living. Previous community efforts. So the big one is the bond. Our bond passed in 2019, and this was a huge deal for our community because, like I said, we have the oldest high school in Kansas, but we are not getting a new high school because that would not fly in the community. In 2014 was the last bond that failed. The one in 2019 passed because it left the high school alone. The high school is getting a new science wing, but the precious, historic, oldest operational high school in Kansas is remaining untouched. Nothing new in the school, in the part of the school districts, has been built in Iowa for over 70 years. The last bond that passed before 2019 was in 1992, and that was only to modify or renovate the middle school. So again, our poverty level influences our upkeep of schools. Football stadium. Our football stadium is not attached to the high school, which is very unique. But so much money has been pumped in there by a community member that raises funds to keep that football stadium upkept that it'll never move. There's been too much money dumped into it. So our football stadium is down at the park. New roofs at the fairgrounds happened fairly recently. City commissioners deemed that important, and they paid for it. Another precious thing seems to be the Prairie Spirit Rail Trail. Tons and tons of taxpayer dollars have gone into that. And the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Rec also supported that, and it stretches as far south from Iowa all the way past north of Ottawa. Power structure. Individuals of wealth in the community hold the power, as well as people willing to invest in the community projects or community in itself. That is who holds the power in our community, as well as state representatives have a big influence. Multicultural issues. We have a very limited diversity, which equals limited opportunity. We have multicultural implemented at the elementary level as well as like books, but as far as other things, not much. Public opinion. Homecoming parade is a big deal. The bond issue, like I mentioned before, was huge, and our public opinion is good enough, so everybody's status is satisfied with status quo. Correlation, relevancy, and reflection. I will post as I'm running out of time on my recording. I'll post those in my comments above, but these are my references. Thank you.